Hello, and welcome to school. I'm Mike Tadros. I'm going to take you through a lantern challenge that we designed to help you practice some of the tools from our Level 1 DVD. If you didn't get here through the DVD, that's fine. Feel free to follow along anyway. And if you have any questions or trouble about any of the steps or solutions that we're covering today, check out the Level 1 DVD for some more advice. I'm just going to open up SketchUp, and you can see here's the lantern example from the DVD. So I'm just going to pause the slideshow and pan over to the side here so that you guys can see the lantern. I'm actually just going to model another copy of that lantern right next to it. So I'm going to start with the rectangle tool and draw a rectangle. When you're drawing a rectangle, you get a snap for when you're aligned to a square. Now take the push-pull tool, and you can pull that box up to the same height. Now I can take the offset tool, offset the edges from one side, and double click on the other side to repeat the same offset. Then again, take push-pull, push one side through, and then push the other side through. So we've got some white and blue surfaces. Can't really see through the box anymore. That's okay. If you take the select tool, you can triple click on that object to select the entire thing, then right click and select the option for intersect with model. Now you can erase each of the blue surfaces so that you can look through the box on both sides. And here, if I take the eraser tool, I can erase these bold edges. The surface goes away, but that's okay. We can fill it right back in with the pencil tool by retracing any one of the existing edges. Undo back. Let's try this edge instead. That works better. Take the eraser tool again on the top, erase the bold edges, and then we can get that surface to fill back in just by retracing any one of the existing edges. So you can see here in this lantern we've got a candle inside. So let's take a look at how we can get that with the circle tool. I want that candle to be centered in the midpoint, so I'm going to start by hovering over both midpoints, one on either side, so that when I hover away I can get both inferences at the same time. Then click and draw the circle so that it's centered. Then take the push-pull tool, push that up, take the offset tool, offset one side, then take the move tool and move that midpoint in. Get rid of that surface, move that midpoint in, then take push-pull and I can push that down and reference that surface. Then take the offset tool again, offset those edges for the candle, pull that up, offset the edges again for the edge of the candle, push that down, and offset that edge one more time for the wick of the candle. Just pull that up. So not bad so far. We got the holes cut out from both sides, and we've got the candle part right there in the middle. Now if you look in the challenge, there's just a little bit of extra detail down at the bottom and at the top. So for that detail at the bottom, you're going to take the offset tool again, offset those edges, and this time we're going to use the move tool with the Alt key or Apple key for auto fold, and we'll just auto fold that surface right down so we get that detail at the bottom. And for the top, same thing, offset tool, offset the edges, then take the move tool with the Apple key on a Mac or the Alt key on a PC and auto fold that top surface up. So that's one way to get that top surface to kind of get tapered in there, is to use auto fold. Another way is to use the scale tool. So we'll try that next. If you take the push-pull tool, you can push that surface up, then select it, and then take the scale tool and hold down the Alt key on a Mac or the Option key on a PC, and you can scale that about the center. So you can see it's scaling relative to the midpoint. Set it in there. And one of the last things we'll take a look at here is this chord. So you can see the chord is coming up through the top of the lantern, and part of this chord, you can see it would be kind of tough to draw all of those little lines in there. So what we're going to do is use the intersect with model tool to intersect a cylinder with the top of the lantern. We're going to draw that cylinder so that it is also centered. So same trick as before. If you take the circle tool, hover over one midpoint, then hover over the other midpoint, you can draw a circle that's centered, and then take push-pull and pull that circle all the way up through the top of the lantern. I'm just going to move the cursor over and reference that same height. Now you can take the move tool and move that top endpoint in to kind of give it that tapered look. take the push-pull tool and I can pull the rest of the cord up and again match the height. It's looking a little bit thick, so again I can take the move tool, find that dashed line on the surface and move it in just a bit. So now in this example we see all those lines. In this example we don't yet, so we're going to use the intersect with model command. You can right click and select the option for intersect with model, and now you see those lines. So last step here, if I go to X-ray view mode, you can see the difference between these two shapes is that the one that we just modeled has these extra lines. We want to get rid of those lines. While you're in X-ray mode, you can use the eraser tool to erase just about everything in the model. So if I turn X-ray mode off for a second, I can take the eraser tool, erase that edge. You see the surface fills right back in. And this time with X-ray mode on, I can erase stuff on the inside of the model. So I can erase those edges there and get rid of those. And you want to be careful because in X-ray mode you can erase anything in the model. So now that those are gone, I can turn X-ray mode off and we can take a look at the fact that this shape now, one of the things we want to fix is the fact that there's blue and white surfaces at the same time. If I right click on one of the white surfaces and select the option for orient faces, SketchUp's going to make it so that all of those surfaces are now white. One last little thing here, if we look at the first example, we've got a little candle flame. If we want to model that flame, we can use the follow me tool, or rather the freehand tool. Use the freehand tool to just draw a squiggly little line, undo back here, use the freehand tool to just draw a squiggly little line, something like that might work, and then take the select tool to select it and right click, say make group. Making it into a group is just going to make it a little bit easier to rotate it, so I can take the rotate tool and rotate maybe from that point to that point and then spin that flame up about 90 degrees. Then take the move tool and move it over onto the wick. With the paint bucket tool we can add a little bit of color to this thing to make it look a little bit more realistic, so we can find that yellow color and add it to the flame, and then take that silvery gray color, and if you hold down, where's that silver gray? There it is. If you hold down the shift key, you can actually paint every color in the model a different color. So if I undo back one step, I had everything painted that kind of off-white color, and if I hold down the shift key and then click on that off-white color, it changes all the off-white surfaces to that silvery gray color. And now I can take the darker gray color, paint the cord, and you can see that leaves us with one lantern that looks pretty close to the first one. So thanks for following along. Hopefully that was pretty helpful, and look forward to seeing you in more tutorials down the road.